Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is the problem with anti-villains. So, for this video, I'm going to discuss two main issues that there are with anti-villains. The first one is relating to how it ruins the film experience, and the second one is that how it's a negative way. It encourages, in other words, a negative way of thinking upon people when it comes to an ideology is the second thing I'll be discussing. Um, and now that I mentioned that, let's get started. So first and foremost, when it comes to the problem with the anti-villain trope that has absolutely been oversaturated in movies nowadays, is the fact that when it comes to the anti-villain trope, the first issue, of course, that I'll be discussing for this video, is that it kills the ability for people to watch a movie um enjoyably without, of course, being, of course, filled with a negative message. In other words, it kills the ability for people to escape reality, which entertainment is supposed to encourage people to escape reality, not, of course, do something that keeps them in reality by reminding them of certain types of people and so on and so forth that they absolutely hate and despise in real life. It's common sense 101, to be quite blunt and honest with you, okay? And that's a problem with the anti-villain trope, is that it encourages people to kind of be reminded of people that they hate in real life and not, of course, you know, to be honest with you, be able to truly enjoy the movie by, of course, keeping your mind actually in the world of the movie, okay? It kills the ability to immerse yourself in the experience. Because what helps make the movie enjoyable is being able to immerse yourself in it. In other words, feel like you're in the world, that it isn't, not just think about, oh God, I hate people like that or this and that. And that is the truth of the matter, when it comes to, of course, watching a movie. Because a lot of movie watching, what makes it enjoyable is the imagination process when you're watching a movie, okay? Because when you're watching a movie, whether we like to admit it or not, most people imagine things, okay? Like they imagine, oh, what would I do if I was in that situation? Or it could be something like, how cool would it be if I actually was able to live in a world like that and this and that? It helps enhance the experience. We as human beings are thought-based creatures. We like to think a lot, and not even like to think a lot. We literally think. Most of our whole experiences is in us being in our head. We're thought-based creatures, to sum it up, okay? So when we look at anything, most of the time, if anything, or at least a good portion of the time, whatever, you get the point, we're going to be in our own thoughts for that matter, okay? And when I'm watching a movie, I want to be thinking of good thoughts, that are enjoyable, not things that remind me of people I fucking hate in real life, which, of course, if you're watching something like anti-villains, it reminds you of, oh God, I hate people like that in real life. Oh, I hate that kid who used to bully me, or I hate that person who used to give me, a hard time, in the workplace, we used to argue all the time and this and that and all that type of stuff. And when you have things like anti-villain tropes, which the whole premise of an anti-villain trope is, usually, for that matter, humans suck, I hate people, people suck, and that's pretty much the definition of what they always stand for, then that encourages you to think that way, okay? Besides, the truth of the matter is, I'm not against the anti-villain trope, it's just that it has to be done well. And the thing is, not only does it not have to be done well, it has to be done only a certain portion of the time, okay? Not every trend has to be always overused. But the truth of the matter is, the anti-villain trope has become extremely ridiculously overused to the point that it's just unbearable now. Pretty much every villain nowadays is pretty much an anti-villain, Instead of it just being a case of he's just evil for the sake of being evil, he's evil and he actually has a damn good reason why he's so fucking evil, because pretty much people fucking pissed him off, which is not good, to be quite honest with you. If it's the main premise of, you know, of the villains for that matter, okay? And that's the truth I'm trying to get across. It's just been oversaturated, it's annoying, it's cliche, and I hate it. And that's the truth of the matter, to put it bluntly, to be honest with you. I hate the anti-villain trope, because it just encourages people to just hate people, okay, which is not good and not good at all. Okay, which brings me to the second point, which of course needs to be discussed, is that the problem with the whole ideology of humans suck, okay? Now, the truth of the matter is, like anything in the world, okay, people have different opinions on it, okay? Some people, might think this way, some people might think that way, there's no way to completely change people's minds, but one thing is definitely for certain about this whole human suck trope, okay? The truth of the matter is that people need to realize, when it comes to that way of thinking, is that it's not a healthy way of thinking, okay? Because even if, okay, the majority of people in the world suck ass, which, in all honesty, I can't really blame people sometimes for thinking that type of way, okay? To be honest with you, the truth of the matter is, there is still a lot of good people in the world, okay? Even if only like 10, 20, 25% of the world population are actually people who are not like people who suck, that's still a good portion of people, to be quite blunt and honest with you. That's still a good amount of people in the world, for that matter, okay? That's still a decent amount of people, for that matter, okay? Because not everyone in the world sucks, even if the majority of people in the world might, when it comes to, you know, intelligence and even how good they are as people and so on and so forth, might, well, kind of suck, in honesty. There's still a lot of good people in the world. And even aside from that, even if that doesn't truly change your mind, the most important thing you need to realize is that dwelling on something in that type of way, you know, and feeling an emotional way about it is not a good way of thinking at all. That is not good. That is not very good at all, to be quite honest with you. And that encourages you to be a very miserable person. And that's what my point is for the second point. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. It's an ideology that encourages you to be some of the most, or I should say, one of the most miserable people you can imagine in life, okay? And don't get it twisted, okay? We in life, we all have hard times. We all go through a lot of shit. But there's a difference between someone who's just like miserable, is going through a phase, the cliche, oh, here we go again, this phase or something, or just going through a hard time in life, versus you are not only unhappy, but you are one of the most unhappiest people you can imagine in your entire life, okay, and beyond. We're talking about the people who have like literally no friends. They look up like the most depressing philosophies and mindsets in the world, and they are extremely unhappy, miserable people. And they go on to live very, very, very unhappy lives, get in a lot of fights and arguments and all that type of stuff, and people, they can't even go like anywhere without people looking at them, and giving them a hard time because they look pissed all the time. So sometimes people just look at them and give them a dirty look, and get angry at them because they look angry all the time. Or people might even say, oh, don't end up like that guy, is a loser, which makes you even more miserable. It's a state of misery that most of us can't even comprehend. Okay, it's a world of pain. And that's why I'm telling you this stuff. I don't want people who watch this video, let alone pretty much everybody for that matter, to end up like those type of people. You don't want to be one of those type of people. I don't want that to happen to you. And when you have that mindset and ideology constantly put in entertainment and stuff, it encourages people to become those type of people, okay? Because it's just simply a case of repetition, like just like if you listen to music enough, if you've heard enough music, sometimes you repeat the lyrics without even thinking. That's an example of the power of media, okay? If you look at something enough, it starts getting in your subconscious mind. And when it comes to obviously movies, it's no different. If you watch enough movies, a lot of stuff you look at gets in your subconscious mind, and you might think a certain way without even realizing it. So that's why I have such a big fucking problem with this way of thinking. And Hollywood and movies in general, the movie industry needs to do a lot better of a job than this, in all honesty, okay? This stuff is just not good. It's not good for the mind. It encourages people to be miserable, unhappy, full of hate. And that just encourages people especially certain types of people, if you become one of the I hate the world type people, to encourage you to attract people you really do not want to attract, and let alone live a very unhappy life. And that's why they need to really stop this. It's not right, it's wrong. And the truth of the matter is, you know, so yeah, like I was saying before, it's definitely an example of poor writing. It's definitely something that needs to be stopped. And it just encourages negative ways of thinking, especially in a world where everybody nowadays pretty much says people suck anyway. So, in short, having to live in a world where people say people suck and having to watch entertainment that encourages you to think in that type of way because it's so oversaturated in media is not a good recipe at all, and is a recipe for disaster. And that's why it should stop. Movies are for entertainment, not to encourage you to be miserable. And that is the truth. So that's all I have to say, and simply put, I'm out. Bye.